Okay, let's see if my website starts. It should. There's a delay, though.
Well, you starting to stream on all the spots?
Yeah, but it's saying on Armed American Radio, please wait, the stream is not started.
Oh.
But it's up on X. Ooh, I don't see it on Facebook either. Ugh. What the heck? Why not? Oh, because I have to go to Facebook and hit go live. That's why. On live producer.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that'll help, won't it? Yeah. Okay, Facebook's live. YouTube is live. Rumble is live. And website's live. All right, we're good everywhere. All right. Give me a sugar-free Red Bull.
All right, down on hold. $30.
Sounds good.
Center on the SIG Sauer Platinum microphone.
Mark, we know they want to take our guns, and now we're going to make them eat it.
Proudly presented to you by X Insurance. X Insurance. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Armed American Radio's Monster Cast begins right now. Welcome inside the Kahr Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters in front of this powerful SIG Sauer Platinum microphone with you here at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. And you know it's all being brought to you by the great X Insurance, being heard live on hundreds of radio stations across the nation and visible on a number of platforms for you to enjoy watching the program. You can watch us at facebook.com/Armed American Radio. We are live for you up there on video. We are on streaming live on X, formerly known as Twitter, at AARMark. Make sure to follow us over there and watch us on X. You can watch us on the armedamericanradio.com or .org website by clicking on Watch Live. And you can check us out on YouTube, Armed American Radio, and Rumble at Armed American Radio. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing, my brother?
Not too bad, man. Seems like you're everywhere.
It seems like it's all of a sudden Sunday.
Yeah.
Seems like that happened quick. You know, I left Greg on Friday. I said, I'll see you soon. I'll see you too soon.
Yeah, too soon came.
And too soon always comes. Greg, would you tell people where to participate in the chat? And we'll get started with our guest lineup. We got a good one. We have Alan Gottlieb the first half of this hour, AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News. We've got some great court cases to talk with you about and some potentially exciting news out of Maryland, the Fourth Circuit assault weapons ban case. We'll talk with Mr. Gottlieb about that. In addition to that, we have Quang for the hour, Arizona House Judiciary Chairman. He's coming back. We had a great conversation yesterday privately that we want to try to recreate for you on the airwaves, and then, of course, followed by a classic Armed American Radio Roundtable with Brad Premo, CEO of Leadslingers Whiskey, followed with our reporter, Neil McCabe from RedState.com, and, of course, Kahr Firearms CEO Justin Moon. I'll let you tell people where to get in on the chat, and then we'll get started.
Sure. Briefly, if you want to join our live chat, just head on over to your app store, grab the Telegram messaging app, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, that'll do it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go right to the phones. The great Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. Alan, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Good for you. I'm glad everything's fine. I hope you had a great weekend. You ready to get started? I got to start with you on this Illinois FOID mandate case. Now, correct me, this is not a Second Amendment Foundation case, but it is a case that was supported by the Second Amendment Foundation and the Illinois State Rifle Association, correct?
Yeah, we funded it. So we're not a plaintiff. It was a case that was started before we got involved in it, but we're the ones who funded it to keep it alive and to win it.
Well, it is quite a remarkable decision. I've read it a few times over. So if it's okay, Alan, what I want to do is read part of this decision, because the judge, in what is a very strong opinion, found the FOID cards. Those of you who live in Illinois know what I'm talking about, the firearms owners' identification cards, to be unconstitutional. And, of course, referring back to Bruin. So let me give you just a little bit of note on this, and then we'll talk to Alan in some greater detail. The state posits that the Bruin court expressly, quote unquote, endorsed Illinois' licensing regime. That is a misguided assertion because the Bruin court was examining New York State's concealed carry license scheme and the right to public carry instead of in-home possession statutes. The state no doubt believes that the two are one and the same. However, that reasoning flies in the face of the Illinois legislature, which believes they are different because they have enacted two separate acts for the different activities. One act, FOID, governs the right to possess a firearm, and the other act, CCL, concealed carry license, governs the right to possess or carry a loaded firearm in public. A cursory reading of Bruin's citation demonstrates that the court cited the CCL and not the FOID card case. As noted above, possessing a firearm inside one's home, in this case, a .22 rifle bolt-action long gun, is fundamentally different than carrying a concealed, loaded handgun in public. So I'll stop there, Alan, and just some quick background. This is a woman who had a gun in her home without possessing a FOID card, and Illinois went after her. Can you take it from there, please?
Yeah, this case has been going on a long time, Mark. What happened is she took the case to court, and basically what happened is it won at the trial court level, and the appeals court overturned it. It got appealed to the state Supreme Court, who remanded it back down to the lower court to review all over again because the appeals court didn't quite live up to its muster. The lower court then, quote unquote, ruled again in our favor. The appeals court didn't quite see it that way again. Went back to the state Supreme Court, who then, in light of Bruin, remanded it back down to the trial court to make it start all over again. Now the trial court ruled again in our favor, and I'm sure the state of Illinois is going to take it back up on appeal, and it'll go to the state Supreme Court again. The state Supreme Court knows we were right, and they just didn't want to issue a ruling, so they just kept kicking it back down to the court to review it under other circumstances, so to speak. So this now, we've now won this for the third time at the lower court level, and we're probably going to take it back up to the state Supreme Court, or the state of Illinois will, and it's going to be very interesting because now there's no way for them to duck a ruling.
Alan, at what point do they just fold their cards and say, okay, we've lost, it's unconstitutional, and just fold their cards? What they've tried to do here, ladies and gentlemen, is create a crime, to create a way to make you a criminal. The state argues that the defendant is not protected by the Second Amendment because she is not a law-abiding, responsible citizen. Why, Alan? Because she possessed a gun without getting a FOID card, which under Bruin was unconstitutional. So the state creates ways to make you criminals to keep you from exercising your right to keep and bear arms.
Well, Mark, going back to your question, when will they, fold their tent, so to speak? I don't think the gun prohibition lobby in this country is ever going to fold their tent because they've got what I call GDS, gun derangement syndrome.
GDS and TDS, it goes hand in hand. Now, there's one part of this case that I found interesting because you and I have covered many times on the show over many years, and that is scrutiny. And I want to go here again because it's important with the Bruin decision from a couple years ago. And let me quote again. The FOID Card Act is of relatively recent vintage and was enacted in 1967. Frankly, there is no historical analog to the act, which is reference, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bruin decision. However, the state points to several disarming laws that focused on groups of people who were considered dangerous at the time. Many of said laws would be viewed repugnant today as they were racist in nature. This court regrets that those laws ever existed in the history of our nation. However, those laws were categorically different than the FOID Act. First, those laws sought to disarm groups of people who were considered dangerous. The very use of the term disarm connotes that those individuals once possessed a right to bear arms, but the government took it away. Then they go on to talk, the judge goes on to talk about how this changes the level of scrutiny in the case. Can you explain scrutiny again to our listeners who, like a lot of people, might find that? What is the scrutiny when it's review in a court?
Well, there are different levels of scrutiny from, a high level of scrutiny to downward, just, a basic common, the government interest involved, engaged in it. But again, after Bruin, there is no scrutiny test anymore. It now goes back to there's no, scrutiny is a balancing type thing, the balancing parties, and there's different levels of scrutiny. However, after Bruin, we don't go through scrutiny anymore. We're going through the text and history of the Second Amendment. And again, under the old standards, Bruin, of course, expanded these for us, making it easier for us to challenge laws. But again, we won this case under the old standards twice. So, so the bottom line is that this third time around now, we're even strengthened because we don't have to worry about scrutiny anymore, Mark.
Okay. Now, we don't. This might be this question, but do they?
Well, they try and keep re-arguing, things because they have nothing to stand on. So, yeah, they argue it, but it doesn't mean anything because after Bruin, it's history and text of the Second Amendment and what laws were in place at the time and what rights people had at the time the Second Amendment was, authored and, and ratified. So, I mean, all this is a waste of everybody's time. But the other side, again, with gun derangement syndrome, doesn't give up.
Yeah, and they're not going to ever. It's interesting, Alan, because I've joked about this over years on the show. I don't think Paul Revere had to get a FOID card. Okay. I don't think he needed a concealed carry license. And I don't think if he crossed state lines by horseback that everybody had to sit and think, oh, do I have a permit that's good in Virginia? I'm from Massachusetts. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute joke. But this case is proof positive. And again, a very strong ruling. Alan, I'm going to predict the FOID cards go away in Illinois, but it's not going to happen overnight. Is that a fair assessment before we go to the break?
Well, there's no doubt it's not overnight, but I think I lean in your direction, but nothing is certain with judges in courts these days.
It never is. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues with the great Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. We'll be back on the flip side of the break. We've got a lot more to talk with Alan about. Don't go away. See you in just a few minutes.
10.
following segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back. Yeah, welcome back to the show indeed. Mark Walters filling you a prescription for freedom today and every day. And on this big Sunday show on hundreds of radio stations, we're coming to you from the Kahr Firearms Group studios in front of the powerful SIG Sauer Platinum microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. By the way, speaking of Patriot Mobile, this is a Patriot Mobile phone I'm holding up on camera. If you're watching the show, you too can enjoy Patriot Mobile service and support a business that supports your right to bear arms, your Christianity, your conservatism, whatever it is. They think like you do. Stop giving your money to woke companies. They're out there. Stop. Patriot Mobile, promo code AAR. Really simple. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and take advantage when activating a phone. You don't have to do all of your phones at one time like I'm not. You just do them one at a time. And when you do that, guess what? You use the promo code AAR, you get a free month service. So it's great stuff. Let's continue with the great Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. Alan, welcome back. We've got you for one more segment. Let's keep going. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about the Second Amendment Foundation's latest case. I believe it's the latest case. I don't know. So many cases were filed. But Second Amendment Foundation has just sued Massachusetts over 18 to 20-year-old prohibition from firearms. What gives there? Clue us in.
Well, Massachusetts passed a law that has many bad aspects to it, but one of the aspects is that the young adults in the 18 to 20 age group are now no longer allowed to acquire, possess, or carry any sort of semi-automatic firearm or any type of handgun. And so, as you know, we've been defending young adults' rights in courts in various states with lots of victories. And so we partnered with other gun groups, and we filed one in Massachusetts this week, and I expect to win this one too.
Now, this is not the first case of its kind. How many cases has the Second Amendment Foundation filed similar to this around the country? Do you have that number off the top of your head? Because this is not the only one.
No, but there's more than half a dozen. But this one goes a little deeper, because rather than saying a young adult can't buy a firearm or can't carry a firearm, this one also doesn't allow them to possess a semi-automatic firearm or any handgun. And so this one it's a little different. So this has a twist to it for us. So it incorporates some of our other suits, but goes a little further.
So obviously I know what our end game is, but from a legal standpoint, from a strategy standpoint, what's the end game here? How do you expect to see this play out with a half a dozen plus cases across the country? What are we looking for here, and what do we eventually hope happens? Probably knowing the answer to that question, but I want to ask it anyway.
We want to get one of these cases to the United States Supreme Court, so the Supreme Court makes a ruling in our favor, and then young adults, 18 to 20-year-olds, have full Second Amendment rights, just like 21-year-olds do.
And that should be the law of the land, ladies and gentlemen. 18 to 20-year-olds are adults. It's that simple. Alan, let's now flip to the ongoing case that is, and this is, watching this play out, I have to tell you, over all these years, this fascinates me, and this is the Maryland case, which is now the Snopes case, but it's the assault weapons ban case known that we've talked about as the Fourth Circuit Maryland case that has been through the ringer. It's been GVR'd. The court has granted, vacated, and remanded back. The entire Fourth Circuit looked at this in a very unusual move. They drug their feet on this for a long time. And the Supreme Court has had this in conference, I want to say, at least 3 times. Correct me if I'm wrong. And if I understand correctly, the case has been distributed again for Friday the 21st. Am I right on that?
You are correct on that. Again, this case was, as you mentioned, was granted, reversed, remanded back to the lower courts to go back through it again in light of Bruin. They went back through it in light of Bruin, and the appeals court wouldn't issue a ruling for a long time. We tried to get the Supreme Court to force them to issue a ruling. Finally, after we filed that, the appeals court ruled again against us. We appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has held it over, had a number of conferences between the judges to take the case or not take the case, and they've now rescheduled another hearing for next Friday to go over the case again. And my hope is they will take the case, and they should take the case. This is an issue that needs to be decided. There are circuit splits on it, we know, and as different courts have ruled different ways. Yeah. The Supreme Court needs to get engaged and resolve this. And if they're going to be true to Bruin, they're surely going to give us a victory.
All right. Now, is that going to be in this term?
Well, it depends on what the caseload is. I can't say for sure it's going to be in this term. It could be held over again for the next term. We'll know a little bit more on it Friday. It's like every Friday we're back before the Supreme Court to look at one of our cases. So my hope is they hear it. Again, I hate a right delayed as a right denied, and this is we've had people denied their rights on these kind of issues for a long time now, Mark.
I hate to ask you to guess where the court is concerned on this, but it's been about 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, that they didn't rule or didn't grant cert to this. I think it's been 3 weeks ago. Does it tell us anything that it's back now? Is there anything we can glean from that at all? Does this, from your standpoint, is this positive?
The only thing we can glean from it, which I say is positive, is that they're still looking at the case. They've not rejected us, surely not out of hand. They've kept this case alive for us. And the case, again, less than 1% of the cases appealed to the Supreme Court ever get heard by the court. That's probably like 1/10 of 1%. So again, it's very difficult to get a case there, and there's all kinds of factors that enter into it that sometimes have nothing to do with the case itself, but the scheduling of the court, how much they've got on their plate. But again, if they don't take this one, we have a whole bunch of backup ones to bring them from other states that we've sued on the same issues. So they're going to have to hear one of these cases eventually, and I hope, again, sooner rather than later.
Alan, I have to believe that they know that. And the fact that they've already granted, vacated, and remanded this case checks all the boxes, ladies and gentlemen. And I want you to hear from Alan Gottlieb, founder of Second Amendment Foundation himself. Alan, the importance of this cannot be overemphasized. If they take this case and we win this case, what does it mean for all American gun owners?
Well, if they take the case, it leads me to believe we're going to win the case. And what it means for American gun owners is gun bans are out the window. That's what it means.
Yeah, and not just quote-unquote assault weapons, but it makes attempts to ban anything else. Ladies and gentlemen, all you've got to do is look at Colorado. I don't have time to get into that with Alan right now, but do they want to take your guns? You're damn right they want to take your guns. They've been fighting this and fighting us for years on this. That's a fact. This will help put it to bed. Alan, with the remaining time we have, you are going to be in Germany, I believe, and a lot of our friends are going to be there. What are you doing on the international level?
Well, the World Forum for Shooting Sport Activities is having their annual meetings and their plenary sessions and executive committee meetings in Nuremberg, Germany, and it's in time to go along with the IWI, the EWA show, which is sort of like the SHOT Show here in the United States. Most major U.S. manufacturers are there exhibiting as well, so they sell worldwide, along with a lot of European and other companies that are exhibiting and selling products there as well. And so a lot of our people are there, and sort of we do both the SHOT Show in Las Vegas and the EWA show in Nuremberg every year.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a global fight. It's a global fight. I know we focus on the United States, but it's ongoing. It's worldwide. The movement to take your guns is global, and they are extremely well funded. Alan, we'll miss you next week, but we're glad you're there and fighting for gun rights around the world. And AWR Hawkins will be coming up next. We will miss him next week because he will also be there. Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. Alan, thanks again for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, you can join us at saf.org and help us fund these lawsuits. We'll be back with AWR Hawkins.
And you're tuned into the Armed American Radio Network. Now let's get back to the man himself, Mark Walters.
Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day here in these Kahr Firearms Group studios. Got the cool SIG Sauer hat on. Greg, it's my dirty SIG Sauer hat. I love that.
All right.
I'm never going to wash it. I love it. It's just a great hat. And, the Patriot Mobile microphone. It's all being brought to you by the great X Insurance. Welcome in, everybody. I see a lot of you watching the program on various formats. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it very much. Great to see you. If you have comments, whatever forum you're on, whatever platform I should say you're on, feel free to ask. We'll get to them during the breaks and see if maybe we can answer some of your questions, if in fact you have some. Always fun to do that. While we wait for AWR to call in, he was driving earlier today. So, Greg, keep your ears peeled for that. But I want to, as you know, I want to cover some of his. There's a story that hit just a couple days ago on Valentine's Day, literally 2 days ago. Transgender student under arrest for allegedly planning Parkland-style school shooting. We didn't get a chance to talk about that on the Daily Show, did we? I don't think we did.
No, I don't remember that at all.
That popped a little bit later. Trinity J. Shockley, yet again, folks, another liberal transgender wannabe mass murderer. And if you don't think evil is real, read the story. Read what this person wanted to do and why. This person is a transgender male who prefers to go by Jamie or Dex. Okay. Greg, do you go by anything other? Your name is Greg. Do you go by, but prefer to go by, Ricky or Bobby?
No, not at all.
So you go by Greg?
Yeah.
Okay. So prefers to go by Jamie or Dex, but real name is Trinity J. Shockley. I don't know how all that works. Don't ask me to try to figure that out. I'm not going to try. But this person was allegedly planning to carry out a Parkland-style shooting Friday at Indiana's Mooresville High School. They were alerted to the plans in advance and arrested him 48 hours before the planned attack. 48 hours before the attack. The FBI in Indianapolis received a tip and contacted. Now, this seemed like a lengthy chain here. I don't know, maybe it moves quicker than it reads. The FBI got a tip and contacted the Mooresville Metropolitan Police Department to assess the credibility. Now, okay, how do you assess the credibility when you get a tip that somebody's going to shoot the school up that day? How much time do you have to act?
I assume you make the assumption it's going to be legitimate, and you
Correct.
hope that it's not.
So I for some reason I thought that odd. I'm not law enforcement. To me that just seemed, well, let's call and check this out. Now I think I want to go to this person's house and find out what's going on immediately, or I want to get to the school immediately. So, I don't know. What do I know? But the tip indicated that Shockley allegedly planned to carry out a school shooting with an AR-15 and that this person had, quote-unquote, ordered already a bulletproof vest. And apparently this person, Jamie, Dex, or Trinity, 3 names, was infatuated with the idiot scumbag that murdered 17 people on February 14th back in 2018 at Parkland. And what was Friday? Friday was Valentine's Day. That was the anniversary of that. And we do have AWR on the phone. Let's jump him in here. AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News. Welcome in, brother. We're talking about your story on transgender student under arrest for allegedly planning Parkland-style school shooting. AWR, when you report here that the FBI in Indy received a tip and then contacted the Mooresville Metropolitan Police Department to assess the credibility, to me it seems like a step that maybe shouldn't have occurred. That the FBI, I don't know the answer to that, but do you?
Yeah, I don't.
Do you go through a process here, or do you say, hey, we got to stop this now? Let's assume that this is real. Maybe you can explain. I don't have an answer to that.
Well, I'm just guessing. There's no telling how many tips they get. Fraudulent, and so I think they don't want to be in the habit of kicking in doors just because someone called them and said, Bob got a new BB gun. This one here, though, what they were able to do is figure out that this kid did have access to an AR and that he had bought a bulletproof vest. And when they found that out, they're over there in an instant, and they're able to stop this deal.
Well, they're not in the business of wanting to kick into. I mean, the ATF does, right? They don't wait; they just go do it.
Right. No, I think there's a lot of pressure on them too. Three-letter agencies, FBI, of course, maybe almost more than anybody. That due process has to be respected. And but as soon as they had that evidence that was that you couldn't ignore, that proof, they were there. And so I think they did it the right way, and they stopped the kid 2 days before he was going to do what he was going to do, and so that's it.
Yeah, and I started this. You weren't here yet, but I was mentioning evil. This proves to me that yet again evil is real. And let me go a little bit deeper into this with you, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm talking about here is when the law enforcement got to this person's house, this Trinity, Jamie, Dex, whatever this person is, they found a shrine. And I'll quote you, AWR, uncovered a shrine to mass shooters with photos of such shooters on the wall, as well as buttons with their faces on it. Do parents not see this? I mean, if my kids had a shrine to mass shooters in their rooms, I'm going to know this. How does this go unnoticed?
I don't want to say anything negative about this kid's parents because I don't know anything about them. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying by answering, I want to be sure I don't. But I will say this, what I see with a lot of parents, particularly parents of millennials, they want to be sure that they have their own space and it's respected, and they don't look at their phones, and they don't look at their rooms, and they don't look in their cars. And, I missed the memo on that because I open my daughter's cars and go through them. And I don't do that every day, but when I suspect there's something weird going on, they don't know I do it. But guess whose name that car's in? So guess what? They're same thing for their room. I might need to come in there and open some drawers, but guess who owns those drawers? So that's how that is. And I believe, like I say, I don't know this, so I can't say a thing about his parents. Don't want to even hazard a guess, but I do worry. Beyond this kid and his parents, I do worry that there are so many parents that they're so worried about hurting their kids' feelings that they won't go, they won't check, they won't look. And that's not parenting, by the way. That's being a friend. Your job is not to be a friend. Wake up. Your job is to be a father or a mother, not to be a friend. Now, after your daughter or your son graduates and gets married, be friends. Be awesome. But up until then, your job is to teach these kids how to act and to crack down when they do it wrong.
I mean, there's no argument here. You're a parent. I'm a parent. I do the same thing. There's a lot of weirdness here, but the evil in this is unbelievable because it goes even further, ladies and gentlemen. Law enforcement recovered notebooks in this person's home, one of which had allegedly written about being Dex, a transgender male who has homicidal thoughts. And if there are some other stories that go deeper and deeper into this, but the evil here is so real and so palpable, and you have to wonder, how it got to this point. But ladies and gentlemen, thank God it was stopped, and it was. But right. I have legitimate questions about this as a parent. I read this and I think, how can you not know these things? How can you have shrines on your walls and buttons and drawings, and your parents know nothing about this? Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back. AWR, just let me ask you, you want to have some fun at Mother Jones' expense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm all ready for that.
Yeah, all right, good. That's what we're going to do when we come back from the break. We're going to have fun at Mother Jones' expense. Left-wing nonsense, but, they put it out, and we report on it and bring it to you. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom every single day. And today we're on the SIG Sauer microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. X Insurance bringing it all. We'll be back with AWR right after the break. the music starts.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher wanting to let you know that the crew of the Desperado Sport Fish in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and the Second Amendment, and I'm right there with them. Now back to Mark Walters.
Yeah, we're back. Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to visit our partners, please. MyPillow.com, mypillow.com/AAR, mypillow.com/AAR. Beautiful landing page there. Check out the flannel sheets if your weather's anything like mine. I wish I had them on my bed tonight because it's a little bit chilly. But they've got everything there. Huge discounts at MyPillow. Just use the promo code AAR. Take advantage of those. PatriotsRelief.com. Don't forget PatriotsRelief.com. Make sure to visit them. Check them out. All the great products over there. They work wonders for me. I'm sure they'll work wonders for you. I wouldn't tell you that if they didn't. PatriotsRelief.com. And Barrel Buddy. BarrelBuddy.com. BarrelBuddy.com. Make sure to check them out as well. We'll talk about more of our great partners as the show progresses. Welcome back, AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News. Pleasure to have you here. AWR, this Mother Jones piece is really kind of unbelievable because you have debunked this stuff over the years. Let me just go to the piece itself. And ladies and gentlemen, very left-wing publication, but it is titled, Trump Prepares to Wipe Out Years of Progress on Gun Violence. An executive order threatens ghost gun regulations, red flag laws, and more. By the time Joe Biden became president in January 2021, guns were the top killer of children and teens in America, overtaking car crashes and cancer as the leading cause of death. As that trend continued, the Biden White House responded with gun safety policies to enforce existing laws and bolster gun violence prevention programs. And they go on and on with a bunch of nonsense. AWR, you have debunked the vast majority of everything that they have in this column. But take it away because you wrote about it, and let's just have some fun. And maybe if you want to, we can ridicule Mother Jones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they deserve to be ridiculed, especially I think it's Mark Folman is the guy that wrote this, and he's an editor there. And, you know, this guy came out, I believe it was in 2015, I covered, he was correcting Hollywood for exaggerating on the number of mass shootings a year. And so I thought this guy's pretty sensible. And then I read this piece, and this is literally a garbage piece. I mean, he's talking about how under Trump, it's going to roll back, as you say, ghost gun regulations, going to roll back red flag laws. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. He talks about these studies that prove red flag laws. I don't care about your studies. I want to know let's put boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. What does reality teach us? California was the first state in the nation, I believe, to have a red flag law, if not the first, one of the very first. Passed it in 2014, adopted in 2016. In 2021, led the nation in active shooter incidents. In 2023, led the nation in active shooter incidents. I mean, it's almost like Mark made his conclusion, skipped the part where you do a hypothesis and you test it, and then you arrive at a conclusion. He skipped all that. He went, okay, from hypothesis to presumed fact. And he's embarrassed himself here. He looks like a fool. And then he talks about how there are 20 million AR-15s. He's so underguessed it. It's pathetic. Read your facts. Read my stories at Breitbart. Try to keep up, all right? I work with the National Shooting Sports Foundation, getting numbers from them on this. There are over 30 million guns that the crybaby Democrats label assault weapons. Over 30 million in circulation. Please don't say 20. That makes us look like an underperforming European nation. And we are not Europeans, all right? We're over 30 million. We're shooting for over 40 million by the end of this year. By the end of Trump's presidency, we're going to get bold and try to have over 100 million of these firearms. So please don't humiliate us or embarrass us anymore with those claims. And also, what Mr. Mark really missed is this. It's not just that red flag laws are going to face trouble. It's not just that ghost gun regulations are going to go by the wayside. The ATF is too. if only being shrunk in size and being reined in. But he's so focused on these little laws that the left has tried so hard to get using Mike Bloomberg's money. Hey, it's bigger than that. Mark, you think too small. You think too small, pal. We don't think that's small. We're not only going to roll back your gun control, we're going to roll back the ATF. It's going to be a beautiful day.
Yeah, and it is Mark Fullman, too, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I would encourage you to go read the article. Again, here's the title. You look it up, search it, whatever engine you use. Trump prepares to wipe out years of progress on gun violence, and you can link to that by visiting AWR Hawkins at Breitbart News. And if you want to do that and see an entire list of everything he writes, it's real easy. Just do what I do. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. Click search, boom, and you'll have an entire list of all of this. You know, I have to go here, even though we've talked about it ad nauseum over the years. The fact that there are 30+ million of these guns in the hands of American citizens, if what he was concerned about were accurate and true, there would be probably 30 million more murders in America. The more there are, the weaker their case becomes. They just can't figure that out. They just can't figure it out.
Right. Right. No, to your point, though, let's just say Mark's figure was right. It's not. It's embarrassing that he thinks we only own 20 million. That's embarrassing. But let's pretend it's right. Then you're exactly right. There should be 20 million mass shootings. There should be 20 million murders with an AR-15. Instead, every year, not some years, every year, there's at least 2 to 3 times more people stabbed to death than killed with rifles of all kinds combined. AR-15s, bolt actions, pump actions, breech actions, all of them combined, 2 to 3 times more people are stabbed to death than are killed with these guns. So if Mark wants to do us a service, go figure out what really is used to kill more people. And if you do that, Mark, I know that's probably more work than you're used to doing, but if you do that, you'll see not only are more people stabbed to death, more people are beaten to death with fists and feet. Fists and feet. What are you going to do there, Mark? How many fists and feet do we have to amputate to please you? That's how leftists think. That's probably his next thing. We're going to pretend everyone has diabetes. Just start cutting fists and feet off. Mark, it's not going to work. And by the way, Mark, tomorrow, I'm going to go buy a new AR just to celebrate reading your trash article.
I'm going to guess, I know the answer to this question, but I know you have more than one, as do I. Ladies and gentlemen, these are people that think if you turn your gun in to if you pack up your AR-15, your evil black rifle, which is the #1 selling rifle and the most common rifle in Americans' hands today, that if you pack it up and hand it to the police department, these people believe that the school in your neighborhood will be safer because your gun is in the hands of law enforcement. It is mind-boggling, truly mind-boggling. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. Yeah, go ahead. You got 30 seconds, brother. Take it away.
I just want to end. I want you to know this with my whole heart, honest truth. I've got my hand on a Shield Arms SR-15 right now. That's the foldable AR-15. I've got it suppressed with a 30-round mag. I keep it behind my seat in my truck, and I literally just reached around and grabbed it just because I like to know it's there. And so I just want Mark to know, not only do I own a bunch of these, as Americans do, I keep them with me. And I do that so that when the bad guys attack, I'm ready to protect my family. I'm ready to protect myself, because that's how America is supposed to work.
I have a Daniel Defense rifle in my car, and you have a foldable one with a suppressor. Oh, that's pretty scary stuff, AWR Hawkins. That's a scary bad gun. AWR Hawkins.
Scary.
Yeah, if you're the person that needs to be looking at the business end of it, it's pretty scary. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News, fan favorite for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. Now you know why. AWR, thanks for being here. I know you've been driving all day, and I do appreciate it very much. And we will miss you next week while you're in Germany, but we're going to get a great report back from you when you return safely. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast will continue at 6 minutes after the hour. Quang Nguyen, Arizona House Judiciary Chairman, will be here.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American Radio Network.
Fun stuff, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Guys, you can always count on AWR to bring it home, right? AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News. He's great. Great information in the first hour from both of those gentlemen. We want to thank Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, for being here and taking time to join us every week and give us updates on everything that they do. And trust me when I tell you, there's no better organization out there. They're all great. Gun Owners of America, NRA, I'm members of all of them. But it's the Second Amendment Foundation that is really toeing the line in courtrooms across this country. I think over 57, if I'm not mistaken, might even be higher than that now, but it's in record territory, fighting for your gun rights across the country. Yeah, Trump's in office, and we're going to have 60, 70 cases in there. Why? Because they never go away. So it's time to put the nail in the coffin of the gun grabbers, folks, and that's how you do it. You can check out saf.org. It's really inexpensive to join. You can become a life member. You can be an annual member. You can just make a donation. You can join monthly, whatever you want to do. Second Amendment Foundation can be found at saf.org. And again, AWR Hawkins, you can read everything he writes. Just search him at Breitbart News. Real easy to do. And if you do it this way, you'll get a complete line of everything he writes in order. And that's just search AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News, and you'll get a list of everything that he puts out there. It's the same list we go down every single week with AWR Hawkins. And we pick and choose the best stories that he read. They're all good, but some of them make for better radio than others. I did not get to the one that he had up. Let's see if I can pull this up for you, because it's a good one. And this was a mother with a baby on her hip who got in a shootout with alleged intruders and won that exchange. A mother with a baby on her hip exchanged gunfire with alleged armed home invaders Monday. Home invaders, plural, wounding one suspect, causing him to flee, holding a baby on her hip. That just reeks of badassery, doesn't it? All right, we'll be back. Take a little break here. We'll see you at 6 minutes after the hour with Quang. He is the House Judiciary Chairman, and he's going to have his shredder with him, but his shredder can't talk. He and I had a great conversation yesterday at length. We're going to try to recreate it for you here as best we can. We'll be back at 6 minutes after the hour with Quang, and then that will be followed by a classic Armed American Radio roundtable with the regular crew: Brad Premo, CEO of Lead Slingers Whiskey; Kahr Arms CEO Justin Moon; and RedState.com reporter, the great Neil McCabe, also an OG on the broadcast. He's been with us for many, many years. So 2 more hours to go. It's going to fly by. Buckle in. We'll see you right after the break.
of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center on the SIG Sauer Platinum microphone.
Mark, we know they want to take our guns, and now we're going to make them eat it.
Proudly presented to you by X Insurance. X Insurance. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
And here we go. Hour 2, Armed American Radio's huge monster cast being heard on hundreds and hundreds of radio stations around the nation. Thanks for tuning in today. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. And on Sundays, we're here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios on the SIG Sauer Platinum microphone. It's all being brought to you by the great X Insurance here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. Patriot Mobile Communications, great company, patriotmobile.com/AAR. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing, my brother?
Not too bad. Here we are, hour 2.
Yeah, so let's just tell people where they can watch the program if you're so inclined. But please don't watch if you're driving, okay? You can listen to the program by clicking Listen Live or just tune in on a radio station near you. There's hundreds. Find one, or you can use your device and just visit armedamericanradio.com and click Listen Live. But you can watch us on X if you're so inclined. And a few hundred of you are doing that. We appreciate it. You can follow me over there, too, at AAR Mark. We're live up there for you 6 days a week at AAR Mark. Thank you for doing that. You can watch us on Facebook, Armed American Radio, facebook.com, Armed American Radio, YouTube, Armed American Radio, Rumble, Armed American Radio. You can catch us on OpsLens. You can watch us at armedamericanradio.com, armedamericanradio.com. Greg, let you tell people where to go to get the chat, and then we're going to have a great conversation with Quang Nguyen, House Judiciary Chairman out in Arizona. We'll see if maybe we can get his shredder to talk to us a little bit, too. Go for it, Greg.
All right, sure. If you want to join the live chat, just head on over to your app store, grab the Telegram messaging app, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
And that will do it. Quang Nguyen, House Judiciary Chairman, great state of Arizona. How you doing, brother?
I'm fine, sir. I'm having a great time. It's such an honor to be on with you again.
Oh, it's a pleasure. You're rapidly becoming a fan favorite. And I got to tell you, let's just tell listeners, you and I spoke at great length last night. And it was an amazing conversation. And I think I commented a couple times, I wish this was the conversation that we had on air today, right? And
Mark, actually, it was 2 hours.
Yeah, it was 2 hours.
We had a 2-hour conversation on the phone yesterday.
And we covered so much ground. I've got I'm not holding a pen in my hand. I set the pen down. There it is. Notebook's over here. Not looking at it.
Right.
I'm going to try to recreate that conversation as best as possible. I know I'm not going to be able to, but we'll do the best that we possibly can. But
absolutely.
Yeah, let's get started. How many bills did your now famous shredder go to work on just over the last few days in Arizona in your office?
17 bills. Thank God, last Monday was the last day to drop bills. So it was a little bit underwhelming because I was expecting 30 and I got 17, so I'm a little bummed out.
That's okay, though, because when I saw the photograph, I don't think you had any more room. You'd have had to empty the thing or just kind of step on it, and shove those shredded piece of papers down.
Mark, it's amazing. It's anywhere from magazine ban to assault rifle bans, and they can never define what it means to have an assault rifle. But it's always fun to go through that thing. There was a red flag. There were multiple red flag laws being introduced. And the funny thing is that, they actually sat in my office and I sort of entertained, you kind of entertain to see how dumb they are. And, amazingly, they sit on my couch and explain themselves to me. And what I said to these people is that, hey, listen, you remember when I introduced those bills to teach firearm safety in school, and it's only one time a year, and there's no appropriations to it because ASRPA will be supplying all the instructors, and immediately 24 hours later, the press got on TV and newspaper and basically said that Representative Nguyen wants to bring firearms into the school to teach. He wants to indoctrinate our children with the NRA. Blah, 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 blah. And then they come to my desk and they say, let's stop school shooting. It's just amazing, the misinformation and disinformation these people are willing to put out on the bill.
When they do it, let's just educate people. This is intentional.
Oh, absolutely. It's intentional.
They know what
and
they're doing.
They have no they have no desire for people like you and me to educate our children, right? They have no desire to do that. So they're just sitting there waiting for the next school shooting and blame it all on us.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but they willfully lie, don't they?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the program that we proposed to be taught in school was very close to the Eddie Eagle program, if you remember that. It has nothing to do with bringing firearms into school. As a matter of fact, there's a section in there that says that we're going to propose, documents to how to go about, properly store your firearms. And, if they really wanted to understand firearm safety and keeping it away from young children, they should have allowed me to run that bill and have it signed into law that, hey, the high school kids ought to be able to take this class and learn something from it. As a matter of fact, I testified in the committee that there was a 12-year-old boy that went through the Eddie Eagle program, and then guess what? He went over to his friend's house, and his friend pulled out a gun to play, and that kid actually actively stopped the shenanigans with the firearm. I mean, that's how important it is.
Well, Eddie Eagle, ladies and gentlemen, is a famed NRA program. It's been around for many, many years, and its basic 4 tenets are stop, don't touch, leave the area, tell an adult. Now, I go a step further, right? If there's no adult around, call 911. Get out. Get out of Dodge. Right? Do what you have to do. Now, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I tell this story from time to time. Ladies and gentlemen, pay careful attention here if you're a gun owner, please. I know most of you are responsible. But some of you are not gun owners. And Quang, I have a neighbor who approached me a number of years ago. His kids grew up with mine when they were real little. And I used to ask him one time, what do you teach your kids? 2 sons, about 3 years apart. And right about the same age as my kids at the time. And they were at that time probably 10, 12, 13 years old, in that range, the whole crew of 4 of them, my 2 kids and their 2 kids. I said, what do you teach your kids about firearm safety? And he says, he's got that L.A. accent, and around here, L.A. means Lower Alabama. And he said, Mark, man, I don't have any guns in the house. I don't really have to worry about that. And I said, well, you do realize when your kids come over to my house, there's lots of guns. You do realize when they,
Correct.
But my guns are properly stored when the kids are around. But they go over to Bob's house and Bill's house and Carol's house and Frank's house and Fred's house and whoever's house. And you don't know what they're teaching their kids, and you don't know how guns are stored. And the odds are that Bill and Ted and Frank and Bob and Carol and Cindy and everybody else has guns in their home too. So yeah, you absolutely do have to teach your kids gun safety. They need to know these basic tenets. Stop, don't touch it, leave, tell an adult. It's that simple. But it's naive, I guess is the word, to think that because you don't have guns in your home, that you don't have to teach your children about guns, quote unquote, real gun safety, ladies and gentlemen, not the nonsense that the Democrats use as code word for gun control, but actually teach the kids, get out, don't touch it, leave. It's a tragedy waiting to happen. And sadly, it does happen. I had a kid I grew up with, I didn't grow up with him because he was killed that in a situation just like that many years ago when I was just a young boy, and we left and moved to another state. And we found out that this young kid, Eddie, was killed in a situation like that where young kid pulled out his father's gun and he was shot in the face. So, yeah, you do. And isn't that just good advice? What's wrong with that? Quang, why would they fight you on that?
I'm having a hard time trying to understand because, by now I was coaching kids at the national on the high-power rifle range. And amazingly, you would go to Camp Perry National and you would see 500 kids under 15 shooting on the line, and
30.
you don't get a single accident.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing ever happened. As a matter of fact, the Britain sent a film crew over to Arizona to interview why we have children shooting AR-15, and amazingly, these people, the camera crew, had never seen an AR-15 in real life. And then after they watch these little kids shooting and earning awards, they were completely amazed. But did it change their minds? Not at all.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Because they're going into this with already preconceived notions and preconceived ideas. They've already been brainwashed. We're talking with Quang. He is the Arizona House Judiciary Chairman in the great state of Arizona. Armed American Radio's Monstercast will be back on the flip side of this break. Don't go away. 3 more segments with Quang. Yes, welcome back indeed. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continuing hour 2. It's going to fly by, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle in. Please do. Make sure to check us out at armedamericanradio.com. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at AARMark. You can watch this show. If you missed the show now, you catch the podcast. We'll have it up for you right after the program. You can also go back and rewatch the program should you be so inclined. It's a little bit shorter because the technology takes all the stuff out of the middle of it, so you just get the full 37 minutes of chat. Always fun to do. You can watch us on Rumble. You can catch us on YouTube. You can watch it on X. You can check us out on Facebook, all that great stuff. Welcome back to the Kahr Firearms Group Studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day now on hundreds of radio stations around the country here in front of this SIG Sauer microphone. And, of course, it's all brought to you by the great X Insurance. Please go out of your way to support all of our great partners. North American Arms, great company out there celebrating 50 years of making the best mini revolvers on planet Earth. I carry one of those guns with me everywhere I go, no matter what I'm carrying besides it. It is the gun you can carry when you can't carry a gun. I'll let you figure that out, however that applies to your life. Maybe your mother-in-law doesn't like guns. That gun fits where you need it to be. Going to the beach that day, North American Arms fits whatever you're wearing, how little it is. NorthAmericanArms.com. Make sure to check them out. And all of our fine partners. Again, you can find them all at ArmedAmericanRadio.com. Great products there for you. Talking with Quang Nguyen, Arizona State House. He is the House Judiciary Chairman. So, Quang, can you tell me, give me an example. You gave a brief rundown, but you see these bills come across your desk year after year after year, session after session after session by these Democrats in the great state of Arizona, widely regarded as the most gun-friendly state in the nation. Now, that's arguable to a certain extent. I could have that conversation with you. But what is it that you see come across your desk, no matter what? You know it's going to come up year after year after year. What's the most popular bill that the Dems are throwing at you in that state? Because I'm going to guess it's probably the same as it is here in the state of Georgia, which is a very gun-friendly state as well. But they probably, because they're all in it. They're all in it together. What are the most common anti-gun bills you see?
So the common theme is very simple, Mark. Red flag. They want to be able to come to your house and confiscate your gun with no due process. Okay. So, for example, protective orders. You have protective orders. We need to come and collect your firearms. So the other one is even more popular than red flag, which is collect your AR-15s and your 10-round magazine, or if you have a magazine that's more than 10 rounds, they want to be able to collect that. And jokingly, when I saw you in San Diego, what did I said? I don't know who determines the size of my magazine, but I would love mine would be 1,000 plus one. But they keep coming back with the same kind of theme, additional background check. As you know by now, Mark, if you have a CCW like I do, you literally have the rubber gloves going up your backside, right? You cannot get any more background check than that, but they continue to do more and more of it. And it's not that they understand. I believe they understand that these things aren't going to be, coming off my desk in a very nice way. Mm-hmm. They're just being persistent and hoping that one day they can flip the legislature, and then there you have it. So it's a matter of pushing these 1730 bills over and over and over again, and eventually, at some point in time, if they're able to flip the legislature, because right now it's 33-27 in the House and 17-14 in the Senate. So you can see it's really, really thin. Hey, Mark, I also want to touch on something.
Please.
You remember the first time you and I spoke was about Sedona creating its own firearm regulation by not allowing people to carry openly. You remember that?
I do.
And that's how you and I talked about this. Because of the situation in Sedona, Senator David Gowan, a very gun-friendly Republican, introduced Senate Bill 1705. And what it does is it permits a court to levy a civil penalty up to $5,000 against an elected or appointed government official or an administrative agency head if the court finds a person guilty of knowingly and willfully violating this legislation. The reason it's important in the state of Arizona because we have firearm preemption laws, which says that any subpolitical division of the state cannot nonchalantly go out and create your own little firearm regulation like the city of Tucson and the city of Sedona. And so, yeah, we're going to make this very difficult for people to really sit down and think about stripping your rights to keep and bear arms locally. So we're going to stop that. It's already stopped, but it doesn't stop the city of Tucson and Phoenix and all these crazy left-wing blue cities to go out there and trying to take our guns away from us. And we're going to do everything we can to stop it. And we're doing quite a nice job, Mark.
No, you're doing a great job in Arizona, and it's good to see that you're finally going to put some teeth in that preemption. Florida did that a number of years ago with a $5,000 fine. And, you know, we found out we were in court in Florida almost on a weekly basis where you have local municipalities, cities, individual cities. A lot of them were in Southeast Florida, not as much on the West Coast. But you had individual cities that were violating state law that said you can carry, you know, because you can carry a gun in a park, whatever, just to give that as an example. And the little town councils would jump in and they would institute gun bans in parks in violation of preemption. And we were constantly in court with them on a regular basis saying, no, you can't do that, until finally there was some teeth put in. Now they can be sued. Now they can be fined. And it doesn't come out of their official capacity. So it's not taxpayer dollar. It comes out of their wallets.
Correct.
And
Correct.
that's what you need. And
you can't. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
No. I mean, the next provision is to prohibit the use of public monies to defend or reimburse. So there you have it. We're modeling this after Florida, but it's just amazing. Oh, by the way, the good news is after we pushed down the ordinance from the city of Sedona, we shredded it. Two more cities came up and said, no, we are going to revise our ordinance. So after they saw what we did to Sedona, they complied. And I think, you know, it's not good enough to just talk about it. You have to do something about it. You have to take them to court. You have to let them know, hey, you screw with us, we're going to withhold the state sharing fund, your budget out of your budget. And so we have to push really hard, but they're not going to listen to us.
No.
They're just going to try to sneak around us and do everything they can. So for any legislators out there sitting out there thinking that, hey, you know, we got Mark Walters and Quang and Alan Gottlieb doing this, there's no need for us to worry about. No, they're constantly cutting down the wire.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, again, this is a reminder: if you live in a blue state, I just had a chat conversation on Facebook with somebody in New Jersey going through just a ridiculous process to try to get a permit. And again, if you're in a blue state, you've got a really uphill battle, but the fight continues in red states across the country too. It's an important conversation. Yeah, I know Trump's in office, but guess what? This is an example of them pushing this to the states. When we come back, more with Quang Nguyen from Arizona State House. We'll be back. Don't go away. Back in 20 seconds, guys.
Daniel Defense firearms are guaranteed for life, trusted worldwide, and designed, engineered, and manufactured right here in America. Daniel Defense, freedom, passion, precision.
Daniel Defense is freedom, passion, and precision, ladies and gentlemen. DanielDefense.com. Make sure to check them out. And also the Double D Foundation.org. The Double D Foundation.org. And again, you can find all of our great partners at ArmedAmericanRadio.com. Need some pain relief? Patriots Relief has you covered. Need a great holster? Nobody makes them better than Crossbreed holsters. It's as simple as that. Crossbreed is what I carry all of my guns, and I've got some others too, but I always go to Crossbreed every single time. If you're looking for a great way to carry inside the waistband, the legendary Super Tuck. Nothing comes close. Need a good pocket knife? Need a good knife for self-defense? Need it just for utility purposes? This is an Emerson knife right here. If you're watching on screen, I just held it up. It's a beautiful blade. EmersonKnives.com. EmersonKnives.com. You can use, if you're watching on your screens, you can click the link on there now, visit Emerson Knives right now, and use the promo code AAR, and check it out. You get 10% off these beautiful blades made right here in the United States by Ernie Emerson and his amazing family. Let's go back to Quang Nguyen here in the SIG Sauer microphone. See, I'm wearing the hat. It's the Kahr Firearms Group Studios, SIG Sauer Studios, Monday through Friday. Quang Nguyen, welcome back, brother. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, sir.
So I have a question. You know, we're talking about putting some teeth in this stuff, right? With some of these legislators that just don't want to play by the rules, and they never will play by the rules because they hate us. So we've got to teach them lessons. When can we have some form of legislative I say removing legislative immunity? You know what I want to see? I want to see people be able to be charged criminally for violating my civil rights as an elected official. When will we get there?
Well, I'm not sure we're going to get the totality of removing legislative immunity. And a couple of weeks ago, Mark, I introduced the HCR, House Concurrent Resolution 2053. And what it does is it removes legislative immunity for all traffic violations. Now, a lot of people are saying to me, are you going after certain members that are recently being, that got away with speeding? Not at all. I don't believe any particular legislator has enough power to convince me to drop a bill on him or her. That's not it. What I want to do is to bring integrity back to the legislature. That's all I want to do. Every time somebody is speeding in the middle of the night, claiming immunity, and the reason we have immunity is to make sure that you not stop on your way to the Capitol to cast the vote, right?
Yeah.
Well, in the middle of the night, Capitol is closed. You're not doing any business, but you're claiming immunity. What it does is it gives all of us a black eye, and it just continue to happen. And so what I'm doing is that I want to put a stop to this so that we don't have these kind of conversations anymore. And I'm getting some resistance, not a whole lot, but I'm getting some. And I got to tell you, Mark, this is working against me because I'm driving 186 miles per day. Now, I want to clear this up. I said 186 miles per day, not per hour.
Quang, let's play theater of the mind here because this just gins up for me the following scenario. 2:00 in the morning, speeding legislator. Blue. You know why I pulled you over today? Do you know who I am? Don't you know who I am? Okay. They get away with this. Don't you know I'm a state representative? They get away with this stuff. I'd like to see this, and I know viewers and listeners, I know you feel the same way. We're sick and tired of it. And some of these people need to be able to have their feet held to the fire. You know, Greg and I were talking on the Daily Show, Quang, about Pam Bondi's latest actions against Chicago and against New York. Yeah, but it's civil, and it's suing them in their own in their official capacity, which means no harm to them whatsoever, none. taxpayers are funding their defense. Any fines taxpayers are paying. They don't lose their jobs. When can this get criminal? Because once it gets criminal, the shenanigans will likely stop. And the Democrats are paranoid for a reason across the board, not just on guns, but they're paranoid with Doge, everything else that's going on in Washington right now. When will they have their feet held to the fire that we can put these people in cuffs for violating our rights? Is it ever going to happen, or is it just a wish list from Mark?
Mark, let me put it this way. What would happen if you were arrested for criminal speeding, meaning in Arizona it's 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, right? Mm-hmm. So let's take a look at the 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. Well, if the speed limit is 75, well, you're kind of still okay, right? But if the speed limit is 30 or 35,
right? Great point.
We're talking about immunity should not supersede public safety. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is one legislator drove 48 miles an hour on a 30 mile an hour, speed limit. Just think about that. How are you going to stop for the dog or the bicycle, kid on a bicycle or whatever it is? These people are actually risking, the community's safety. So I just want to put a stop to it. I really want to do that. In 2018, Governor Doug Ducey basically said, hey, let's just get rid of Article 4, Section 6 right there in the Arizona Constitution to get rid of the immunity clause altogether. And I'm like, hey, what a great idea. But it's like asking legislators, I'm not bashing anybody, I'm a legislator myself. And by the way, I peel the "Do you know who I am" sticker off the back of my driver's license, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to expect legislators to remove their own perks. That's kind of difficult.
It's why Americans get angry when we see Congress in the middle of the night pass themselves pay raises in the dead of night when we're $37 trillion in debt, particularly now when we're seeing all the wasteful money that Doge is coming up with to the tune of billions and billions of dollars. But my question, who pushes back on this stuff? Is it a bipartisan thing?
Yeah, a lot of it is kind of accuse me of going after certain people, and like I said earlier to you, no one is worthy enough for me to drop a bill on. So I don't drop bills on people. I drop bills on the problems that we have, and so. We'll see what happens. Okay, so Wednesday the bill will be heard in my committee. It's my bill. I'm the chair. I'm going to hear the bill, right? We'll see who's voting how, and then we'll see if it makes it to the floor. If it makes it to the floor, you can look at the screen, and I'll capture a screen. I'll send it to you, Mark.
Yeah.
And you can see who's voting yes and who's voting no.
Well,
I don't see a problem with anybody voting no. It's just sort of, you're telling the public that you are actually above the law.
That's the whole point. Thank you. It's more than just speeding. That's exactly where we're going with this, ladies and gentlemen. It's this sense of entitlement that we're above the law because we're legislators. And we have seen that across the board with Democrats for decades. And now they're running scared. So, yeah, I would love to know, because the pushback on something like that, it tells you a lot about that person. If they'll push back on that, boy, it really gives you a window into the soul, doesn't it, Quang? It lets you know who you're dealing with on a lot of different topics, gun rights being one of them. And I would bet you you'll see some bipartisan pushback, but I'm going to bet you right now, if this goes to the floor, the vast majority of pushback is going to be from the Democrats. It's just a power thing, right?
We'll have to see, but on the next segment, I would love to talk to you about the birth certificate bill that came across
20 seconds
regarding transgender. It's a hilarious situation.
I'm up for a laugh.
Maybe. Yeah. You're up for a laugh. I'm up for it, but it wasn't really a laughing matter because I took offense to it when Republicans were being accused of genocide and so on. But we can talk about it later. But yeah, I'd love to come back in the next segment and just let you
That's
hear the
exactly
story.
what we're going to do. We're talking with Quang Nguyen. He is the House Judiciary Chairman in the great state of Arizona. Always fun to have him here. Quickly becoming a fan favorite for a reason. Lots to talk about. We've got one more segment with Quang. Don't go away. We'll talk about that birth certificate issue in Arizona right now because we can. We'll be back. Don't go away.
By Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back. Final segment of Hour 2 of Armed American Radio. Now underway. Gosh, got a roundtable coming up next with Brad Premo, CEO of Lead Slingers Whiskey. Justin Moon, CEO of Firearms and RedState.com. RedState.com reporter losing his Boston accent. Boston accent, I guess, would be the way to do it. And that will be Neil McCabe. So stay tuned for the roundtable. That'll be up 6 minutes after the top of this hour coming up. Welcome back to the Kahr Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters in front of the SIG Sauer powerful platinum microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. And again, it's all being brought to you by the great X Insurance. I got a really cool X Insurance shirt on here. The A stands out because I wear it so much it got kind of washed off. But it's X Insurance, xinsurance.com, xinsurance.com. Let's continue the conversation with Quang Nguyen. He is the Arizona State House Judiciary Chairman. Quang, welcome back, my friend. Let's talk birth certificates.
Thank you, sir.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, before we get there, I just want you to know that Representative Eli Crane, CD2 in Arizona, has your phone number. I contacted him by text, and he texted me back, and he wanted your phone number. So I just want you to know that that's done. And I'm also hoping that you're going to come out to Arizona on March 1st. For the GOA event, so I'm hoping for that to happen. But let's talk about birth certificate for a second.
Yeah, wait. Before we do that, I have to say this about Eli Crane. I filmed Eli being interviewed for Breitbart News before he won the election. And Eli and I got along really, really well because we happened to have similar tattoos, and it was kind of uncanny. We share a couple of the same tattoos, you know, the We the People and all that stuff. I got the Second Amendment and all that. So we got along really well, and I can't wait to bring him. We're going to be bringing Representative Eli Crane, ladies and gentlemen, to the broadcast here in the very near future. It might even be as soon, hopefully, as next weekend when I can get with Eli Crane. But he's still doing great work there with Anna Paulina Luna and the rest of them in Washington. Anna's a good friend. We'll see if we can get her on the program soon as well. So, Quang, go ahead. I just wanted to throw that out. Eli's a great guy, and thank you for that.
Yes. Good to have him as my representative.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, Republican Representative Rachel Cashel introduced a bill, which I heard last Wednesday. And what the bill does is it doesn't allow you to change your sex on a birth certificate. And what it does is we're not being mean. We're just getting in line with the state of Tennessee because the Sixth Circuit actually ruled that changing the sex on your birth certificate is unconstitutional. So it's XXXY. So you want to add parts or reduce part, you're still going to be XXXY. You're not changing anything. So that's fine. So what happened was we had a transgender, and I don't care. You know, you want to wear a dress, you want to, whatever it is that you do, that's all good with me.
I'm with you.
As long as you pay. Yeah, as long as you pay taxes and things like that.
Yeah.
Keep my guns, in my pocket. It's great. So this person came up to the podium and started talking about how Republicans are trying to, take him out of existence. And then the trigger, I am easily triggered, by the way, by one word, and it's called genocide. So this person came up and said, you people are committing genocide. And I lost it. So basically I lost a bit in a polite way. I said, wait a minute, don't use the word genocide in front of me because, I know what it meant. As a matter of fact, April 30th coming up here is the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon. Mm-hmm. I've been through three main invasions, 1968, 1972, Easter Offensive, and the final invasion. I was 13 years old. So guess what? Don't use the word genocide in front of me. And the person said, well, I disagree with you. And I said, hey, you're standing at my podium. No one is killing you. You're speaking to me. I'm a Republican. And why are you using the word genocide? So she said, well, I disagree with you. And I asked a question. I said, have you, any of your friends, any of your family members killed or executed like mine? And she looked at me and said, no. Then I said, then don't use the word genocide, not in front of me. You can do it whatever you want to. But that's how ridiculous they are. They are accusing us of committing genocide when they don't even understand the meaning of the word genocide. And then to tell that to somebody who have family members executed, died in the war, and you're standing there with a straight face talking to me about genocide. I don't think that person will ever use that word again in front of me.
I'm curious. How old was that person?
Probably, gray hair, probably in the 60s.
Old enough to know better, Quang.
A dress.
Old enough to know better.
Yeah, but I mean, just age doesn't define knowledge, I guess.
No, but old enough to remember. Old enough to remember Vietnam. Old enough to remember.
Right.
Okay, maybe not Korea, of course, but old enough to remember Vietnam. Ladies and gentlemen, Quang and I talked about this in a personal conversation last night. We were talking about Vietnam, and I had a relative that fought in Vietnam that didn't think he was going to make it home, and Justin Moon is a regular guest on this program. His father was held in North Korean prison camps and was an hour away from being executed before that camp was liberated. 1 hour away from being executed. So, yeah,
Wow.
you hear these words tossed out that Trump is Hitler and, we're all Nazis because we support Donald Trump, this kind of nonsense. And so I'm glad you put a stop to that. I really, truly am glad you put a stop to that. And hopefully that person learned a very valuable lesson, Quang. A very valuable lesson. Look, we've got about a minute
No,
left.
actually, those are talking points. Those are bullet items, and they don't ever go away from bullet items.
90.
The funny thing is,
Yeah, that's a
when
great
these
point.
people come up to the podium, when they come up to the podium to testify, every one of them had a piece of paper or a laptop to read from. You know what that means?
Yeah.
You don't have a single original thought. You're just talking points. Whereas if you look at the Republicans on my side, we all speak into the microphone, look right at your eyes. We know what we're talking about. If you look at the Democrat side on my left side in the hearing room, they're all reading from a piece of paper or the laptop. I mean, that's such a huge difference. You guys don't know this because this is happening behind the scenes. Their talking points are pumped up on the laptop by lawyers in some other location.
Yeah.
Okay, ask Wynn this question. Ask Mr. Marshall that question. They don't
30.
have an original thought. And so when I call them out like that, they're kind of fumbling and stumbling through. They don't quite, they're not coherent. How's that?
No,
Those are your representatives.
You're right. And the scary part about it is they're on the same talking points as the mainstream media. It's been like that for years and years and years. However, I think we might have turned a corner here, Quang. I think we might have turned a corner to the extent that a lot of Americans are no longer going to fall for the gaslighting. More Americans are seeing these as talking points. I'm hopeful. I'm an eternal optimist there. I have to believe that's true. Quang, I love you. Thanks for being here, man. So much fun.
Love you, brother.
To have you on the show. And you and I will talk this week about coming out and speaking, and we'll let listeners know how that's proceeding and all that. And we're looking forward to bringing Eli Crane on the program, probably bring him on with you as well, and make it a three-way, like a mini roundtable, if you'll be so inclined to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Quang Nguyen.
Soft.
Oh, we're going to make that happen, brother. That's Quang Nguyen. Quang is the Arizona State House Judiciary Chairman. Thank you for being here, Quang. Appreciate it very much. When we come back, Brad Premo, CEO of Lead Slingers Whiskey. Love Lead Slingers Whiskey. I have to tell you, I have partake from time to time. Also, RedState.com's Neil McCabe. Great reporter, RedState.com, Neil McCabe. And, of course, Justin Moon, the CEO of Kahr Arms. And we are in the Kahr Firearms Group studios. We'll see you back in the Kahr studios at 6 minutes after the hour. Don't go away.
You've
All right, guys, we're going to take what we refer to here in the studio as a biology break real quick. I'm sure you know what that means. But we'll be back at 6 minutes after the hour with the crew. Probably be back a little bit early. We'll jump on. If we're back a little bit early, we'll jump on before the show goes live. So stay tuned. Make sure to check out all of our partners. A great time to do that during the break, armedamericanradio.com. When we come back, I'll ask Greg to ask me how many cups of Defender coffee I had this morning to start my day. It was more than one. And I'm not going to tell you less than how many because I'll answer that question when we come back. But make sure to check out all of our partners, armedamericanradio.com, armedamericanradio.com. And we appreciate you watching and tuning in on whatever radio station you're on. And again, not just radio stations aren't hearing this right now. So all of you viewers, thanks for tuning in on whatever platform you're watching us. We appreciate it so much. We'll see you back here at 6 minutes after the hour.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center on the SIG Sauer Platinum microphone.
Mark, we know they want to take our guns, and now we're going to make them eat it.
Proudly presented to you by X Insurance. X Insurance. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Hour 3 of Armed American Radio's huge monster cast being heard on hundreds of radio stations around the nation and all over social media right now. X Insurance, several hundred viewers watching over there. YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, facebook.com/Armed American Radio to be exact. Make sure to check us out on all those social media platforms. Follow us over at Instagram at AAR Mark Walters, Twitter at AAR Mark, X, formerly known as Twitter. I guess we have to continue saying that until it's just part of the lexicon. We'll figure it out at some point, but it's great to have you here. The Kahr Firearms Group studios are lit up for you. The SIG Sauer mic is powered up and live, and it's all being brought to you by X Insurance here at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing, my brother? Third hour, brother. Here it is. It flies right by, man.
There we are. Zoom, zoom. Got here quick.
Ask me how many cups of Defender coffee I had to start my day today.
Oh, how many cups of Defender coffee did you have to start your day?
Guess.
45.
4 to 5 or 45?
45. Trump. 45.
I'd be dead. There wouldn't be a radio program today on the nation's airwaves if that were the case. No, I had 2.
Okay.
I had 2 cups today to start my day. Defender coffee is great stuff, ladies and gentlemen. And the cool part about Defender coffee is not only is the Liberty Roast that I drink organic, but it's also when you buy Defender coffee, if you're a coffee drinker, ask yourself this question. If you're a coffee drinker and you love your gun rights, why would you not drink Defender coffee? It's great organic coffee, lots of different blends over there. Medium, light roast, dark roast. And there's even a militia blend over there, Greg. You remember that one with a few hundred milligrams. Oh, yes. My wife made a mistake of drinking that thinking it was just, she was couched out for hours drinking gallons of water. Yeah, she was unaware of that. But it's there for you if that's what you want. She's okay. But, man, that stuff laid her out. It's the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. But you can support a gun rights organization when you drink Defender coffee. You tell them where you want to send a portion of the profits, and they send it to the GOA, for example, Gun Owners of America. If you're new to the program, maybe don't know that, GOA. Also SAF, which is a Second Amendment Foundation. That's where I send both. I send mine to both. You can do the same thing. DefenderCoffee.com. Drink Defender coffee and support your gun rights organizations that are the ones in court fighting on your behalf. Now that we're post-Bruin, there's more cases, and I mean, it's just a cornucopia of legislation that we're going after in states across the country and federal legislation. We're reining in some of these organizations that have been trying to screw you for years, and we're winning the battle. And that's how we win it. We support partners, businesses that support our rights. We support programs like this. We support the local organizations across the country in the various states. I'm a member of several of them, life member of many of them, including AZCDL, GeorgiaCarry.org, VCDL, Florida Carry, and some others. I've lost count. I think NJ2AS in New Jersey. But nonetheless, that's how we get it done. So welcome in. Let's get ready to rock and roll. Greg, you can tell people where to participate in the chat, and we'll get started with the crew.
Sure. If you want to join the live chat, just head on over to your app store, grab the Telegram messaging app, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, if you're watching us on Facebook or if you're watching us on X, if you're watching us on Rumble or YouTube, those tend to get more after-show views, but we're live on all those platforms, including OpsLens. You can watch on Apple TV and all that fun stuff. Roku, been doing that for a long time. Let's get started with the crew. Let's welcome Brad Premo, CEO of Lead Slingers in First. Brad, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, Mark. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for being here in the great state of Tennessee. Brad comes to us from the great state of Tennessee. Neil McCabe, losing his Boston accent, from RedState.com, RedState.com. Maybe it's Boston. How you doing, Neil? Welcome in, brother.
Very good to be with you, Mark. And it's going to be a great night. And I wish everybody happy President's Day. And it was great seeing the president at the Daytona 500. He's really nailing. He's really nailing what it means to be like, because you're both, you know, in our system, you're both king and prime minister, and he's really nailing the king part which he wasn't really able to play in the first term because of all the investigations and all the impeachments and all the craziness. Trump actually gets to enjoy being president this time, and it's great.
Yeah, well, we're going to come. I'm glad you mentioned the King thing, because I'm going to go to a Drudge Report lead headline here in just a couple of minutes to get this party started with you guys. And Justin Moon, the CEO of Kahr Arms. How are you, Justin? An OG here in the Roundtable and a fan favorite for a reason. If you're new to the show, you're about ready to find out. Justin, how you doing, brother? We'll wait for him. Justin, you there? Ooh, Greg.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Oh, there he is. I hear you. There you go. It might have been a cheek mute. How you doing, Justin? Welcome in, my brother.
Doing good, thanks.
So let's go, guys, to a Drudge Report headline. Now, Drudge is a sellout and a coward and all that stuff, and it's fun to rag him from time to time, but we're going to do this live with you. Let's just go to Drudge Report. Hopefully I don't mistype that right now. There we go. Take a listen to some of the headlines over at Drudge Report. This guy is like the king of TDS sufferers at this point. McCarthy torches weaponizing DOJ in stunning column. Talking about Trump, not the Biden administration that actually weaponized the DOJ. DOJ core mission now to settle the president's scores. More upheaval. Budding scandal, a big deal. Saturated with corruption. Deeply conservative prosecutors head for exits. Mass resignation marks new defiance in second Trump term. And then they have a photograph of Trump, obviously AI generated, dressed as Napoleon. The headline, now he's Napoleon. And this is from The Independent, another great left-wing rag. Trump suggests he's above the law with ominous Napoleon quote. He put out on X, I guess, and Truth Social, he who saves his country does not violate any law. And the official White House account on X also shared the message, and it's got liberals just going nuts, popping heads like zits. Oh, Brad, I'm going to start with you, man. These people are just incredulous, bro. Isn't it? Are you having as much fun as I am watching these people melting? I'm melting. Or is it just me?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Just watching them chase their tails, while Trump is just laughing at them. I mean, this man is on fire. And, I think maybe related to this, I don't know if you saw it this week, but the man keeps a picture of his mugshot on the wall outside the door of the Oval Office.
Isn't it great?
So, he walks in the office, he sees it, he walks out of the office, he sees it. And if you think that doesn't motivate that man, I don't know what else to tell you, because he is on a mission, and I think people know that they're in the firing line.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Justin, have you ever seen, you're a political animal like I am, have you ever seen anything like this in the United States? This is just incredible to watch. I'm having so much fun.
No, I personally haven't. I mean, this is another American Revolution. We are in the midst of a true change in the regime and in the power structure. And it's wonderful to behold.
That's a great point. We're going to explore that. I'm glad you brought that up. Neil McCabe, you're so plugged in. I've lost count how many times I've watched you on national television reporting from the White House over the years. And the very spot where, Ducey stands and the rest of those bozos with ABC, NBC, and CBS, so we can all CBS and CNN and, MSDNC and the rest of them. So you're plugged into Washington politics. Is Trump what Drudge puts out with these aggregator headlines? Is he acting like Napoleon? Does he want it? Is he so far above the law? Why are they so terrified of finding the waste, fixing the problem, bringing law and order back to the United States? And then what Justin said, I want to take off on that. It is like a new revolution. There is change. Americans are feeling it in record numbers of Americans are now saying that the country's headed in the right direction. The first time in over 20 years. Neil, clue me in.
Constitution, the original constitutional crisis is how we got the Constitution, because the Articles of the Confederation weren't working. And the Articles of the Confederation had, basically the Continental Congress, or the Congress, remained in charge of everything. And there was no executive, and all the you had literally had states fighting wars against each other and printing their own money and all this other nonsense. and they said, hey, we need to have some kind of unifying principle, a monarch. And they said, well, we can't have a king because we just fought a revolution against a king. So why don't we do this? We'll take all the good things about the king being in charge, and then what we'll do is we'll elect him by the electoral college through the states, and we'll have the Senate has to approve his ministers, and we'll put these sort of controls, and there'll be a time limit.
All right, hold on
to the
thought. That is what we have. When we come back, I want you to finish that thought, and then I want to go around the table. And I do want to take off on Justin's comments as well, because it's so true. It was a good way to put it. I hadn't thought about it in those terms. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast on hundreds of radio stations continues right after the break. Don't go away.
wanting to let you know that the crew of the Desperado Sport Fish in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and the Second Amendment, and I'm right there with them. Now back to Mark Walters.
Yeah, that Desperado. I caught some tuna off the back end of that thing a number of years ago. It's a completely different boat now. It's absolutely gorgeous. But we love the Desperado Sport Fishing crew, Joe and Beverly and everybody. Thank you guys for supporting Armed American Radio for so long. Love you guys, of course. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues now on hundreds of radio stations around the nation. Thanks for tuning in. We do love each and every one of you. Make sure to visit all of our partners for some great products. If you're looking for, whether it's firearms, if you're looking for accessories, if you're looking for pain relief, if you're looking for coffee, if you're looking for anything cool, holsters, we've got it. Emergency food supplies. Let's not forget heavensharvest.com. Heavensharvest.com. Now, summer's coming. I know it might not feel like that to a lot of you. It certainly doesn't feel that way just outside Atlanta, Georgia right now. It's very cold. We had some really nasty weather come through yesterday, but it happens at this time of year. There's no climate change there. It's just what happens in the spring and the fall and all that regular stuff as we gear up for spring. But if you're like me, you're going to be doing some outdoor stuff. Heaven's Harvest has you covered. They've got the 15-minute heat-in-the-bag meals, and they are fantastic. I have a number of them. I've tried each one of them. They are wonderful. Heavensharvest.com. Heavensharvest.com. Make sure to check them out. Heavensharvest.com. You can find everybody at armedamericanradio.com. So I'm going to go back briefly to Neil. Neil McCabe, you were talking about the king, and I think it bears mentioning that George Washington was given the opportunity, and he chose to be a president, and he chose to term himself, which is why I personally believe Trump is going to go down as probably the second greatest president this country's ever had when it's all said and done. No one will ever surpass George Washington. But boy, he's doing amazing stuff out there at breakneck speed. I'll let you finish your thought, and then I want to take it over to Brad about the comments that Justin made about being in a second revolution. Go ahead, Neil, real quick.
Absolutely right about that second revolution, Justin. And I guess the bottom line is that the Constitution set up the presidency to be like a king. And that's exactly what Trump is doing. And it's important also to know that there's a lot of stuff that the Democrats and the left could not get through Congress. They knew they couldn't get it through Congress. And there's a lot of stuff they knew if they put it in the Federal Register as official regulations, that, you know, if something's in the Federal Register, even an executive order is put in the Federal Register, these things are subject to judicial review. And so a lot of these sort of letters and policies that Biden was creating, he was doing it cheap and dirty, and that's why Trump can get rid of them so quickly. And that's why, so it's like Congress said you can't have any more federal employees, so they just started, all these agencies just started hiring contractors. And then Congress said, well, you're not allowed to do certain things. So they said, oh, we're not allowed to do it? We'll give the money to some group, and then they'll do it for us. But these things were done so cheap and dirty that Trump is able to get rid of them, and there's no judicial review. That's why he's able to lay off so many people so quickly and reverse some of these things. Like, for instance, he's reversing the definition of fugitive for justice, so that try to open up the gun rights a little bit. As I think someone's mentioned it, they got rid of the Office to Prevent Gun Violence out of the White House. That's gone. That we never ratified the United Nations Arms Trade Treaty, but we agreed to observe it as if it was ratified. That's now over. And so Trump is able, by president, to get rid of a lot of this stuff, not so much because he's ignoring the law or he's overriding the Constitution, but because the Biden people were so sloppy and deliberately sloppy that this stuff can more easily be erased, Mark.
Yeah, I think you're right. Brad Premo, before I go to you, Brad, I want to mention, I can see my producer up on the screen over in the right-hand side. I'm not talking about Greg. I'm talking about the video screen producer. And he's been eating ice cream. It looks like Haagen-Dazs bars throughout the program, and I can't wait. He's laughing and looking at me right now, giving me thumbs up, because now I have to have one. I might have to get in the car and go to a convenience store and get one, sir, because I don't have one here at the ranch. So thanks for that. Keep it up, my brother. Oh, Brad, if you got a Haagen-Dazs bar, feel free. Have at it, brother. I'm craving one now because I've been watching him. So, when you hear what Neil said, let's talk about this second revolution, because Justin is right. And Justin, we'll go to you here in just a second. But that is, it really is. We're seeing a change in this nation right now that I had a feeling we were going to see. Trump laid it out during the campaign. We all heard it, and now we're seeing it. The Democrats are going nuts. They're blowing it out more than I even thought they would. Brad, I don't get up in the mornings, or at least I didn't for a number of years. I begged off, man. I'm not going to get up and turn on morning quote unquote news programs from any channel because I don't want to start my day stressed. Now I can't wait because I was watching comedy shows to start my day with a laugh. Now I'm watching the news shows because it's comedy in and of itself. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, pretty much every morning, one of the first things I do after I get home from the gym is I open up X and see what the Doge boys are getting into and seeing what the latest
the Doge boys.
The latest controversy. And I do find myself getting kind of angry because I start thinking about all the obscene checks that I've written to the IRS over the years.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And come to find out, I'm paying for transgender comic books in Peru and some sort of like transgender studies from mice and whatever else kind of
that's true, by the way,
insane garbage you can think of. Yeah, that's all true. The thing is, like, we're sitting here, we got Americans over here in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina living in tents because they got abandoned by the Biden administration, basically in favor of transgender policy and them funding that, and so. This revolution that we're talking about is, I hate to say it, but it's a revolution, but it's just because we're coming back to common sense. People have had enough, and they're finally saying, the hell with all this stuff. I mean, like, we got to get back to being Americans. We got to get back to leading the world. We got to get back to putting our own people first. And we got to get back to holding our government responsible because these people have been running wild all over our wallets and all over our rights for years, and it's got to stop. And if it doesn't stop now, we don't have a chance. And so this is our last good chance, and I think we're knocking out of the park right now.
Yeah, I agree. Justin, your thoughts were very prescient. Your description was apt. How do you see this ending up? We've got 4 years with Trump, and you and I both know it's going to go by in a blink of an eye, brother. It's going to go by in a blink of an eye. My son said to me the day he won the election, Dad, I almost don't want him to be inaugurated because I know how fast it's going to go. And I don't want to live through what we just lived through for the past 4 years. Now, my son's 20 years old, and God bless him, he was finally able to vote in his first presidential election, and he gets it. So do you see a lean, mean fighting machine going forward after this Trump administration? I do. I sense that coming.
Well, I think things have fundamentally changed because we haven't had a real independent president since the assassination of JFK. We just basically had, a unit party running the country, and they put up the right-wing puppet or the left-wing puppet. And so Trump is the first president who actually, got elected and is basically wrecking this system of the unit party. And, if he succeeds in his venture over the next 4 years, things will never be the same in America.
You are so spot on. Thank you. I'm going to go back to you and then carry it to Neil when we come back. Things will never be the same. You are dead on, my cousin Vinny, accurate. If you've ever seen the movie, ladies and gentlemen, you know the scene. FCC, I just had to be nice. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Camera's on.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back.
Yeah, you know, if I pick this phone up and make a phone call, which I will do after the show, it'll be on a Patriot Mobile phone. You can do the same thing, patriotmobile.com/AAR, patriotmobile.com/AAR. And you get free month by using that promo code. That's quite the deal. Flip all your phones, flip one at a time, whatever you want to do. Patriot's got you covered. They will work with you. And many, many, many of you have done that, and we appreciate it very, very much. PatriotMobile.com. You can find all of our partners at ArmedAmericanRadio.com. Welcome back inside the Kahr Firearms Group studios with me. 6 Hour Mike lit up for you. All brought to you by X Insurance here at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center. Justin Moon, I'll go back to you. Again, great comment. America may never be the same. Now, I was talking with Greg during the break, our producer in Dallas at Salem Radio Network, Justin. And yeah, Trump just pulled a boss move today. I happen to be a NASCAR fan. I've been to, a lot of NASCAR teams listen to the show. I've been to many of the races around the country with these teams as a guest. I love these guys. I went to a wedding at Richard Petty's house for one of his crew members, one of his pit crew members. Amazing experiences over the years. I've always enjoyed NASCAR. Air Force One did a lap around the Daytona track today and then dropped the beast off, and Trump took a lap around Daytona in the beast. That's just such a boss move. And it kind of rings with what you're saying, that America may never be the same. It hasn't been the same for the last 4 weeks coming up on Tuesday. Justin, you're spot on. And it feels good, doesn't it?
Well, it certainly does. And especially with what Trump did, declassifying the JFK files, the RFK files, the MLK files. We're going to find out that our government was involved in all those assassinations. And he said that he's also going to declassify the 9/11 files. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, and I want to see the UFO stuff too, but that's a conversation for Andy Hoosier on a Monday, Armed American Radio Daily Defense. Neil McCabe, so true. America may never be the same or will never be the same, but that's in a positive mood. Do you see any downside to what Trump is doing going forward in the long run? Because the Democrats are going nuts right now. A lot of people out of work in Washington, D.C. That's not a negative thing. That's a good thing, because those people were bloat and waste. And our taxpayer dollars. I'm with Brad on this one. I'm sick and tired of spending gobs of money on the IRS running businesses only to see my tax dollars wasted that way while they're coming after me and my constitutional rights, in this case, meaning my gun rights. And they're still coming after us. Well, I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, wait till the next tragedy occurs. We averted one the other day in Indiana by another transgender wannabe mass murderer. Thank God it was stopped. But at some point in time, there's going to be another tragedy, and you're going to see the Democrats go more ballistic now with Trump in office than they ever would have with Biden in office. Neil, I could keep going, but I'll turn it over to you. Is America going to ever be the same again? I think it's a great conversation. Let's have it.
No, Trump is a transformative character in American history. You look at like FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, or even Andrew Jackson, and he's doing things. Margaret Thatcher flew to visit Ronald Reagan when he first became president, and she said, you have to act quickly and you have to cut deeply as soon as possible. And unfortunately, a lot of it, because of the assassination attempt, is, Reagan just couldn't, in that first year, Reagan couldn't get the job done as much as we expected. We are seeing tremendous action on Trump. I did a search this afternoon on Zillow.com for Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. I found that there are 344 houses, condos, and townhouses that have been recently reduced in price. And you're going to see a lot. You look at like some of these, Georgetown, you look at Rockville, Maryland, you look at Silver Spring in Montgomery County, Maryland, you look at Northern Virginia, where all these like fat and happy Beltway bandits live. There are houses for sale. There was a USAID company They last week they announced they're laying off 382 people. And all of those people were making good jobs at good wages.
I was hoping you were going to tell me AOC's house was up for sale, but I digress. Brad, let me move to you. I think you agree America's not going to be the same. Let's flip it. That's macro level. Let's go to micro level. Let's go to the Democrat Party right now. This is the party that wants our guns. This is the party that hates our guts. This is the party that hates what Trump is doing. This is the party that is seemingly okay with billions in wasteful spending, our tax dollars. This is the party that's, tried to fundamentally transform America. Barack Obama, I'll say he was probably the most instrumental in putting this nonsense in place. He's also the most instrumental, and it's got to sting him, and I hope to God it does, that he just goes away. But the Democrat Party on the micro level, will they ever be the same? Or how are they? Are they going to survive this in present form?
I hope not. They're in trouble. They've had a problem for a while though, and they've been papering over it in the sense that they haven't had a bench in a good while. I mean, if you remember, the 2020 election cycle, they had to get Joe Biden to run because the people they had running were just an absolute clown show, and they realized they had a problem on their hands, and they dust Joe Biden off and put him out there because they figured to get some of the moderates and people were comfortable with him that may not have been as comfortable with Donald Trump as they should have been. But what they did then is that, now they put an Alzheimer's patient out there. His 4 years were an absolute disaster. And during that time, they still didn't develop any likable candidates. They have, just on a personal level, have a real problem with their most well-known people being absolutely unlikable. Can't stand to look at them. Can't stand to hear their voice. They talk down to people. They're now supporting fraud, waste, and abuse in the government.
Yeah.
They basically Donald Trump has seized the high ground on pretty much every issue that average Americans care about right now, and they're left with basically taking the side of charlatans, and they're taking the side of tyrants, and they're taking the side basically telling people that are struggling to get by that they ought to be okay with that because we got to keep sending all this money overseas to people who hate our guts. You know what? They can hate our guts for free. Why don't we keep our money at home? So they're in trouble. I don't know where they're going to go from here, and frankly, they've earned every bit of their problems, and I hope it gets worse for them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Justin, can they survive this in their present form? I don't think they can. I'd like your thoughts on that.
Well, given what we're learning about Fauci and COVID and the COVID-19 shot, the Democrats are clearly the party of attempted genocide of the entire world's population. I think the nature of their depopulation schemes and trying to get rid of all the human beings on Earth is going to become substantially proven as we get to the bottom of this COVID-19 Wuhan lab leak, and how the vaccination was actually not a vaccine, it was a bioweapon.
Yeah, I personally believe it was a bioweapon. And will we ever get to the bottom of it? I hope to God we do. I think with Trump in office, Neil McCabe, we're on the right track. I think at the lightning speed, the breakneck lightning speed that the man is moving at, that we stand a better chance of getting to the bottom of this quicker than we would otherwise. We'd all be sitting around wondering the same thing. Was the Warren Commission, nobody believes it. Neil, we've only got 30 seconds. So what we'll do is when we come back from the break, I want to find out from you if you think the Democrat Party is going to survive this in its present form. If not, what form do you think it will take going forward? Because that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to form and shape the fight for your gun rights going forward. Are we in a position right now that we can finally bury these people? Literally end the attacks on our rights at the gun control level? We've got some court cases that seemingly will fix a lot of these problems. What will be left of the Democrat Party by the time Trump is done? And for that matter, what will be left of the Republican Party as you've known it for all of these years? Lots more to cover. One more segment to go on Armed American Radio's Roundtable. We'll be back right after this.
is Sebastian Gorka letting you know that the Desperado Sport Fishing Crew in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and our right to bear arms. Now, back to Mark Walters.
Gotta love Sebastian Gorka, right? Sebastian Gorka. We love Dr. Seb. He's great, Sebastian Gorka. Make sure to, I don't know. You can't check him out on radio anymore, can you, Greg? I don't think he's.
No.
I don't think he's on radio anymore. Because why? He's up there helping Trump in Washington, D.C. Guys, welcome back. Final segment of Armed American Radio's Monstercast, being heard on hundreds of radio stations around the United States, and many of you, hundreds of you, are watching on X right now. We appreciate it. It's growing like a weed on social media. You can check us out on all those platforms. You can watch us on Facebook, watch us on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can watch us on Rumble. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us armedamericanradio.com, OpsLens, Apple TV, Roku TV, and we appreciate you supporting us. Welcome back to the Kahr Firearms Group studios. I am Mark Walters, of course, sitting in front of the SIG Sauer microphone, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. We'll be here tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time for Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. You can do the math and figure out your time zone in between the two coasts. You know how to do that. Most of you do anyway. And we'll have Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason. He will be here with us tomorrow, barring any problems, but looking forward to that as well. And you can watch us on all those platforms again tomorrow, 6 days a week on dozens and dozens of radio stations across the country. Neil McCabe, can the Democrat Party survive? And you've studied this for many years in its present form. And let me give you an example. The days of Americans taking someone like Maxine Waters seriously who she is not a serious person, she's never been, but many people, for some reason, paid attention to this. Let's just say I can't say what I want to say. But the days of watching ABC or NBC so we can CBS and take them seriously are pretty much over, including MSDNC and CNN, LOL, and the rest of these jokes. This is really, truly fundamental transformation of media, of the Democrat Party, etc. And if they can't survive in its present form, I want to throw this at you and take it to Brad, because I can't wait to get Brad and Justin's take on this. But there's an old saying that desperate people do desperate things, Neil. What are we looking at from the Democrat Party? They're not going to go quietly into the night. So that's, take that for whatever it is, those comments, and just kind of dissect them briefly.
Democrats are still stuck in the 2008-2012 turnout model that was put together by Barack Obama. And Barack Obama was a very successful politician and a very successful president, not so much how he left the country and the world, which he left the country flat on its back and he left the world on fire, but for what he wanted to do, he was very successful. And they now have to figure out what to do next. Mm-hmm. Now, for years, the Republican leadership, the consultants and the staffers were saying, ignore the social issues, ignore the cultural issues, focus on economics. But the problem with that is you could never outbid the Democrats because they don't care what they have to spend. They will spend whatever they have to spend. But by what Trump did, especially in 24, but obviously in 16 and 20, but in 24, he hammered on the cultural issues, the transgender stuff and the schools and guns, immigration. And that's what broke apart instead of attacking on the economic side, which was a loser, he attacked on the social and the cultural issues, and he was able to just destroy that Obama coalition. And that's why you have states like both Ohio and Florida, which are Obama, Trump. And what the Democrats frankly have to do is they have to find a new set of voters. And so that's, because right now they basically have government workers and rich people and whatever people, and then whatever coalition of victims is left.
Yeah, and they don't have all rich people. Let me make that very clear. I know a lot of people with a lot of money that would never vote Democrat. So their coalition is definitely shrinking. Brad, that is, again, goes back to what I said before about desperation. They're clearly desperate. If they have to find a new voter bloc out of what's left that Trump has not taken, and not just taken, but is continuing to take. He is taking. desperate people do desperate things. This party's not going to go away without a fight, and I believe it will be scorched earth. I could be wrong, but the days of taking people like Chuck Schumer serious, the days of taking people like Maxine Waters serious, people taking AOC serious is a joke. It's done. It's finished. I think they're still going to have that base of ideologues, no question about it. But how do you see it going forward under that guise of desperate people do desperate things?
Yeah, they're probably sitting back right now looking for a wedge to divide people. That's what they need. When you're fighting an enemy, especially one that's stronger than you, you have to figure out a way to divide their attention and divide their forces, and then take them piecemeal. And so that's what they're doing. So they're waiting for the next shooting, the next tragedy. They're probably praying that there's some kind of tragedy on the border that they can pin on Trump's immigration policies. They're waiting. They got to have something like that, because otherwise they don't really have anything. They've worn out their welcome in a lot of different ways. They're the boy who cried wolf on so many different things, and they're also the ones again who have been responsible for hollowing out large portions of the middle class. They abandoned the working man in favor of Silicon Valley, tech bros that have a bunch of money. And, frankly, they've also, their consultant class has almost no straight men in it. So they've lost their appeal, just the average guy on the street as well. And they've aligned themselves with fringe groups, and that's what they're left with. Kind of like what Neil was saying. They got to find a new voter bloc. They've made a lot of inroads with women. I'm very concerned about that, to be honest with you, because if you start looking at these AstroTurf protests and these lunatics on the street, and you will look, and front and center it is white women every time. And so, we probably need to address that somehow. But Democrats are in trouble, and they're going to find something, and they're going to take advantage of it, and they're going to dance in the blood of victims, do whatever they have to do to divide us and start picking us off piecemeal.
I think you just nailed it. That's kind of my thought as well, because it goes back to the tragedy thing. There's going to be one. Some idiot's going to get through some school security. Eventually, sadly, it's likely going to happen, and the Democrats are going to go nuts. Justin, real quick with the time we have left, the Kahr P9. Tell us about that gun, because it's absolutely gorgeous. Is this your number one bestseller at this point as far as handgun selections are concerned?
Well, Mark, we have the new Kahr X9, which is the double column Kahr pistol, and we're starting to ship those now. So we got to get you into those. Yeah. It's awesome. It takes the SIG SAUER magazines as well, and we put Steve on the SIG SAUER magazine. 5 mag, it fits perfectly with the gun.
So it's interchangeable.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to get you one of our X9s, and hopefully you can talk it up a bit.
Well, yeah, I will do that. And what I really want to do is see if I can fly back from the Rod of Iron Festival with the new 50 that you have. But that night might not go over too well. We'll see. Kahr Arms, ladies and gentlemen. That's Justin Moon, the CEO of Kahr Arms. And they have got, if you've never shot or pulled the trigger on the Kahr, it's the trigger break on a Kahr is absolutely second to none. Make sure to check them out at kahr.com. That's KAHR.com. All you liberals out there might spell it CAR. It's not. It's KAHR.com. And check out some of the greatest guns on earth. They make the best. Great stuff. Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Arms. Thank you, brother, for being here. Can't wait to have you next week. Neil McCabe from RedState.com. RedState.com. We love you. Glad you're losing that Boston accent. And Brad Premo, CEO of Lead Slingers. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your day. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate it very much. Remember, we're going to be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. from the SIG Sauer studios on the Patriot Mobile microphone, all, of course, being brought to you by the great X Insurance. Thanks for tuning in on whatever platform you're watching or listening to the program today. We appreciate it very much. Thanks to all of our affiliates. We continue to add them like crazy. And guys, we couldn't do it without our sponsors. So please, if you can find it in you, visit armedamericanradio.com and pick something up from those great companies. There's small businesses, there's the big gun companies, everything. It's all out there for you at armedamericanradio.com. We've got holsters for you. We've got food for you. We've got all kinds of fun stuff for you. We've got the Patriot Relief's pain medication, the CBD, all the cool stuff. If you need help sleeping, stuff works wonders for me. Knocks you right out, guys. Great stuff over there. Barrel buddies to keep your guns clean. Emerson knives. They're all there at armedamericanradio.com. Thanks for tuning in. Love each and every one of you. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific.